Happy Monday, everyone. Carmen Broxma here with Choose Joy with Carmen. Back for another episode of my Mojoy Monday. But it's also the 4th of July, so I wanted to wish you all a happy 4th and hope that you all have some great plans for today and that you will have fun times with friends and family and that you all be safe out there today and enjoy the fireworks if that's what you're going to go do today. Whatever your plans are, I hope they're wonderful. So it's July, so now we can open up the catalogs because they're now the new catalogs because they're now active. And so I wanted to show you some of the things we're going to be using today. Now, because it's July, I wanted to focus on the first thing. I don't know if I'll do it all month or not. I haven't yet decided. But, July typically is Christmas in July, everywhere you look. And so I thought, well, what a better way to start off July is with a Christmas card. So, let me show you what we're going to be using. So, when I first got the new mini catalog, I thought this was a really, really cute set. But the fact that it didn't have any dies with it, because that's my biggest thing, I didn't want to have to fussy cut anything. So I kind of held off on getting it. But then when I opened up the celebration catalog and on page 12 saw that I could get the dies that match that set with a purchase of $100 and then I could get the dies for free, I said, okay, that is what I'm going to do. So we are obviously, because I talked about that, going to be using that definite set here. We're going to be using this with the dies that I have inside here. I don't have them all here because I have them set aside because of the ones we're going to be using on the card today. And we are also going to be using this was another set that I was just so excited about. So we're not going to be really using any of the gnomes here. We're primarily going to be using the dies that come with it, that you can get with it, that create a gnome on its own. So we're going to be doing that. And then I needed some small words that I couldn't find in either of these sets. So I pulled out my Penguin Place to get some of the small words that I needed. So we're going to be using that. And then I fell in love with this paper. So I thought this is the paper we're going to use. So let me show it to you. This is called the Santa Express. And here is one side of the paper, and then the other side looks like this. Then we have this, and the other side is like this. It says la la la, fa la 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 la, I guess that's what it says. I didn't see the fa, but it looks like it has those words on there. And then we have this design right here with the back side looking like this. Ho, ho, ho. Very cute. And then we have these trees. And the back side of that paper is snowflakes on a green background. Very cute. And then let me show you the ones that we're going to be using today. So I'm going to be using a strip of this on our card today. And this is the back of that. I'm not using that at all today. And then we have this present paper. And then the back of that is this kind of polka dot paper, and we're going to be using this for the gnome's hat. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, what I wanted to show you is a technique I did for the trees. So I've already done it, but I wanted to kind of show you how I came about it. So there's these dies in the set that you basically can die cut the solid images, which are the three that are on this block. And then you can die cut the detailed images. And I did that in white, the basic white, so that I could lay over my trees so that they look like snow. But I didn't want my trees to just have a solid look. So I kind of wanted it to have like a variegated look. So that's what I'm going to show you on what I did. So the paper calls, the colors that's in the paper is Evening Evergreen, Granny Apple Green, Shaded Spruce. And so those are the three colors that I'm going to be working with. So what I did, because I kind of wanted to just get it all done at once, all the die cutting, all the stamping and everything of the trees and everything. So what I did was I went ahead and put all three of the trees on a larger block, and then I inked it up, all of them, with the Granny Apple Green. So let's get that done. And then I took my, oops, just put my finger in that. I took my Stampin' Right markers, trying to get it evenly done. Okay, there we go. I took my Stampin' Right markers, the Shaded Spruce and the Evening Evergreen, and I started with the Shaded Spruce, the brush end side, and I just started kind of like tapping various angles of this marker all over each of these stamps. So, and you can just turn it around and do whatever angle you want, and then kind of makes it look like, you know, I don't know, you know how it kind of gives it that, my hand's in the way, it's kind of hard to see. See how it's looking? Then I came in with the darker, the Evening Evergreen, and, oops, we want the brush inside. And I'm focusing on doing the same thing, but I'm really focusing on putting the darker on the edges. I just thought that would look really cute. So I'm just kind of tapping on some color or rubbing on some color on those edges, on the edges of the branches. And if you want, you could also put a few of the tapping of that also in the middle. It's whatever look you want on how your trees to look. So you just kind of keep doing that till you get something that you like. So there's that. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe if I put that underneath there. Can you see the different colors and layerings of that by doing that? And then once you get that done, then you can turn it around and stamp it on your cardstock, your basic white. And make sure pressing all three of those down nicely so that you get a good impression. And then there you go. You have just different looks and layers of colors. And if you don't want them to be that dark, you don't have to put as much or whatever. But I really like that a lot. So now what I'm going to do, well, I've already done it, but what I would do next is then put my die cuts on top of each of the trees, And then the detailed ones, which are these ones right here, I would just kind of place them on here as well. And then I would run them all through the die cut machine, Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, all at once. So then I have all that done. And I could have put the adhesive sheet on the back so that, because these are so detailed, and I didn't do that. But I'm going to go ahead and probably just add a little bit of glue in those areas. Or I could run it through, they have things like the Xyron machines and stuff like that. I could do that and make a sticker out of them, but we'll see what I do. But there's that. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what I did with the gnome. So here are all the pieces for the gnome. So we've got the hat, the beard, the nose, and the feet. And so this is where I'm using that designer paper that I showed you for the hat. So I just die cut the hat out of that designer paper, die cut the beard out of the basic white. And since Poppy Parade was the red that was in the paper, that's what I did for the feet. And then the paper I think had, was it Petal Pink? So I went ahead and did his nose in the Petal Pink. So then what I'm going to do now is just kind of go and assemble my gnome, putting him together. And then once I get that done, I will come back and show you what all that looks like. I'm also going to go ahead and put the, the detailed white, basic white die on top of my trees. And then I'll come back and show you what all that looks like. And then we will continue on with the card. Okay, well, I don't know what happened to my audio when I was creating the video, so now I have to do it as a voiceover, so hopefully I can stay on top of it. But here's the gnome, and I'm showing you right now that the die has this little indentation there where it makes it nice for you to put the hat and where to glue it. And so I decided I wanted the hat to have a little fold over. So I took my bone folder and I kind of curled it, breaking up the fibers so that way the tip of the hat could fold over. And I could have that cute little look, and plus you get to see the other side of the paper. So I couldn't decide which side, if I wanted the glue dot to be on what side, depending on how I wanted it to lay on the gnome itself. So I decided to put it on the same side, basically the front side, and then glue it down off to the side with that glue dot to give it that kind of little flip over that some of the gnome hats have. So I was really happy with the way I chose to do it. So that was a last minute thought, actually. So then I also popped up his nose with a Stampin' Dimensional, and then everything else was just glued on. So I just thought he came out so cute. And so that was pretty much the putting him together. So then I added the glue to the back of those detailed things, and the way I did it was I pulled out my silicone mat and put the little glue up in the corner there and used a Stampin' sponge to dip it in and then dip it on the back of each of those detailed basic white elements for the trees so that I could get glue everywhere. Kind of a messy way to do it, but that was the way I chose to do it since I didn't put adhesive sheets. Then I took the trees for sale out of that set and I stamped it in the Poppy Parade on basic white, and then I used the die cut to go ahead and die cut that out. But then I wanted another little sign, so I went ahead and just die cut another sign out without any stamping on it in basic white, and
that's what I'm going to use to do my words. And the words I'm pulling out of is from the Penguin Place because I wanted it to say, be merry, my friend, or be merry, friend. And that one said, be merry, and the other one had the friend. But I had to use some tape to cover up the parts of the words that I didn't want so that when I went to ink up the words I did want, the other parts wouldn't get inked up. And I did the same for the other one, but I had to put paper, you know, cover up words on both sides of the friend because there was words on either side. So then when you ink that up, you pull it off and then you're able to stamp it directly onto your sign. And I used the Poppy Parade for the Be Merry, and friend, I used the uh, I think I used the shaded spruce, or it could have been the darker one. I don't remember now. Could have been the evening evergreen. I always like to go with the darkest one. But then, since my card base is based on the Granny Apple Green, I took a sponge dauber and sponged around the edges of that to give it a little extra look. So, this is the card base that I chose to use, the Granny Apple Green with the basic white and the designer series paper. I wasn't sure where I wanted to lay it. So when I cut it out, and all my dimensions will be on my blog, when I cut out that designer paper, I was going to put it originally at the bottom. And then I thought, that doesn't make any sense. There's a sky up at the top, and if I put the gnome at the top, it was going to look crazy. So I decided to put the paper up at the top. And now I need to figure out what kind of strip of color I want there because I don't like it to just end like that. I like something to put there. So I don't know if I'm going to do the Granny Apple Green or the Poppy Parade or whatever. So I am back now with the choice that I did with the Poppy Parade strip. So that's what I chose over the Granny Apple Green because I thought it would be a nice contrast. So now we're going to go ahead and fold the card base and crease it with my bone folder really nicely. And then work on the panel that's going to go on the front. So I'm going to go ahead and put down the designer paper. And normally, you have like a border around the edges, but because the way I cut it at the size, I'm going to put it right to the top of that piece. So I'm using liquid glue just because it was what I had handy. You could use your stamp and seal. That would have been perfect here, but I didn't have it handy. So we're using liquid glue to put this down. So I went ahead and put that on the top of that basic white up at the top. And then the good thing about the glue is you can kind of move it around, but after I did it, I looked and I didn't really get it on there very good, but that's okay, Those are the way things work. So now I'm going to add that strip of Poppy Parade right below that designer series paper to give it that little extra, and I don't feel like it's just, hanging off there with nothing. So there's that. And then before I start putting the other elements, I decided it would be best to go ahead and put it to the card base now before it got too bulky to add adhesive. So again, I'm going to be using the liquid glue to adhere that. And then after that, we can go ahead and start putting the card together. So let's get that on there and see how that looks. Try to get it even border. Okay, so there's that. now we're going to go ahead and work on the trees. So I went ahead and um, decided that I was going to put the trees down all with liquid glue because I was going to pop some up, but then I thought, no, I want to pop up the sign. So let's go ahead and just put all the trees down flat on top of each other because I'm trying to create a cluster of trees since it's trees for sale. So I put the bigger one toward the top there, and then I just started to take each of the trees and add the liquid adhesive and then layer them so that they kind of overlapped each other so that it would look like a cluster of trees since it's a tree lot, supposed to be selling trees there. So now we're just going to add the small one, and if you notice the back of my trees have some ink on them, and this is because I had done something and didn't like it, so turned it over, and that's how you do it when you make mistakes, right? You can always turn it over and use the back side. So I'm adding the last little small tree there. Oops, and it stuck to my fingers, so went ahead and put that down. So now we're going to put the sign. But I didn't like it just hanging out there with nothing on it. So I decided to pull in my Stampin' Blend, the light crumb cake. And the reason why is because I kind of wanted to add just a little bit of shadow at the bottom of the base of that sign so that it would look like, we had disturbed the snowy ground and you would have a little extra color there of mud or dirt. So I just kind of did like a C, like a C, bigger C there, just in that area to make it look like, you know, there's a little shadow there for where we inserted that sign. So then I decided that I was going to go ahead and pop that up. And so I wasn't sure if the large Stampin' Dimensionals would work or if we needed to go with the mini, but the large ones worked fine. So I put two of them there, and then that is where I decided to pop it in into that area there and put it right in front of those trees. And then now we had the sign that said trees for sale, which I thought was very cute. I really, really, really liked that. So now I had to decide where I was going to put Mr. Gnome guy, and I needed to make sure that I allowed room for the other sign. So I was just trying to figure out where to put him and decide. I was going to originally pop him up, but because of that little fold over that I did on his hat, which was already kind of dimensional there, I decided against pop nuts and decided to use liquid glue to put him onto the card front. So that's what I'm doing here is putting a little bit of glue on the back of him so that I could put him onto the card front. So I kind of put him closer to the trees since he's the guy selling the trees, or at least that's how I'm making him. And plus I needed to have room for my other little sign, right? So again, I decided once I knew where I wanted the sign that I had to dirty up the ground a little. So brought in my Stampin' Blend again and did the same thing that I did with the other sign to kind of just give it like a little dirty look there, like we disturbed the snow. So this time I decided to only put the Stampin' Dimensional on the right side because the left side was going to be over his beard. And so I thought, well, let's go ahead and not make it be so uneven like it was over the tree. So that's why I chose to do it that way. And then I thought that'll, even it out a little bit. So then it'll just be a matter of working on the inside of the card. So while I'm finishing this up, I just wanted to um, tell you all that I am so thankful that you follow me, that you watch my videos. And if you're new to my channel and you're liking what you see, I would appreciate subscribe. That really helps me. And I just want to thank all of you that are subscribers and follow me. Okay, so now there's the inside. And what I did was I just stamped the little tree and with the ink, the granny apple, and the detail with the shaded spruce. I think I used even an evergreen. So now it's just a matter, and then I also stamped the sentiment came from the Gnome set, and I just stamped that with Poppy Parade. So now I'm just go ahead and adding it to the inside of my card, and then that'll pretty much be done for this card. I'm sorry that the audio messed up. I don't know what that was about, but I'll figure it out. Maybe it was operator error, but that's the way it goes. So I'm gonna put this on here, and then that'll pretty much be it. And I haven't decided. I don't. I don't have any plans to put any embellishments on the front, but you could add embellishments if you want. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that card, and it was fun to do, and I just really liked it. So you guys all have a great week, and we will see you again next Monday for another episode of my Mojoy Monday. Have a great week, everyone, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.